Happy Manga Monday and welcome back, or if you're new, hi, hello, welcome. My name is Zoe and this is my channel, Ms. Manga, where I talk a lot about manga. And if you didn't already, click on this knowing by the title and the thumbnail, we are going to be talking about the first volumes that I've read so far this January, and I've read a lot of them. Honestly, they were all really good, and that makes me very excited for what's to come this new year of 2024. And yeah, so since I have a lot to get through, let's just jump right in. First up, and what was my very first read on the 1st of January, we have She's My Knight. So this one was just super cute and super fluffy in my opinion. It has a very simple premise in which the popular boy Ichinose secretly falls for princely girl Mogami in this gleeful borderline parody of high school shoujo. It definitely reminded me of certain characters and that tongue-in-cheek kind of storytelling from another series, Monthly Girls Nozaki-kun, which I also really like. But yeah, based on the Amazon reviews that I saw, you either really thought it was cute and liked it like I did, or you really hated it. I was shocked. I don't really feel like romantic, like fluffy type stories get so much divisive feedback, but yeah, someone even commented that this volume felt misogynistic. I don't know if people know what misogyny means anymore. It definitely, as a woman, did not feel misogynistic at all. This story is simply playing on the traditional male being the hero gentleman of shoujo typically, and the female being the heroine and feminine character in shoujo traditionally, and just gender swapping these roles. So nothing about that felt like a hatred or prejudice towards women. I'm sorry, excuse me, what? Unhinged, I don't know. If anything, I felt like the female protagonist, Mogami, is treated and seen as kind of an ideal person and is someone to look up to and basically irresistible. So I don't know. It's just a sweet, cute little light rom-com vibing romance story. Basically, it just focuses on their day-to-day interactions with one another as Ichinose feelings towards Mogami grow, where the traditional princely hero of the story is actually a girl, and the blushing fair maiden who sometimes needs help in rescuing is the guy. So yeah, I just enjoyed it, and it was just a fluffy little read that apparently is complete at 3 volumes, so I'm really excited. I think it's just gonna be a funny, sweet, short rom-com series. My only worry is it might be a little rushed, but hopefully that's not the case, and that, sounds pretty perfect to me, so I can't wait for the final 2 volumes to be published. And yeah, I'm definitely curious if you've read this. What are your thoughts on it, since it was a surprisingly mixed bag on the Amazon reviews, come to find out. Next up, I read Roll Over and Die. I will fight for an ordinary life with my love and cursed sword. So yeah, this one intrigued me because it's another supposed Yuri action-heavy series. And I love romance and fantasy, romance and action. Like, that's probably my favorite, is when there's some fantasy and action to keep the story going along with the romance. But yeah, it's pretty traditional fantasy setup where there has been a prophecy, and this prophecy has chosen party members who will unite to defeat the demon lord who threatens their lands. But the twist in this one is one of the members is a weak nobody named Flume, who has no idea how to use her unique power, reversal, and is thus treated as basically useless by her fellow team members or party members. She is looked down upon before completely being sold off into slavery. Yeah, it got dark real fast. Yeah. Specifically, one of the party members has it out for her a little bit. But anyway, she ends up awakening her powers on the verge of death. The power of reversal makes it so a cursed object actually cures her and gives her strength instead of melting her body and draining her power. Thus, she understands her ability and gets a really badass weapon to boot. So she frees herself and another girl named Milkit, who was imprisoned alongside her, and thus begins their journey together. Yeah, the art is very nice. It's got a decent setup that, you know, made me very interested to read more. So much so that I found used volume 2 online and I snatched it up so that I could read on in this series. And while I don't think it's like, you know, my favorite first volume read I've read so far this year, I definitely am hooked and excited to read volume 2. Next up, we have a bit of an odd one, I guess. I feel weird about sharing it. I feel like it's sharing too much about myself, but gotta be honest. So I next read volume 1 of Pleasure and Corruption. So the story of this one is that Zen is having a hard time living up to his parents' expectations, which, you know, in Japan, you get good grades, go to good schools, yada, yada, yada. And to relieve the stress that he feels on a day-to-day basis, he has a quite perverted outlet. And one day just so happens to be caught by the beautiful Ayami, who has a rather perverted hobby of her own. And now with this blackmail that she has against Zen, is using him as she pleases. This very much kind of felt like a mashup between another 2 series, Flowers of Evil, in the sense of a guy being kind of forced by a girl who discovers something secret of theirs that then has him confront and perhaps even accept his true nature. And another title, Sundome, which a girl sexually teases her fellow male classmate and club member in various ways while he has to hide it from the other classmates. It's a very twisted romance, and I'm getting vibes of both of those stories in this one, which is why I mentioned them, obviously. And with that being said, I thought it was a pretty good setup. I mean, I wouldn't recommend it to you if you aren't a twisted little pervert like I clearly am. It's a title that's not for everyone, but I think that's pretty obvious from the summary alone. And anyway, I am really glad I checked it out because I like those weird dark romance adjacent reads, and I thought it was pretty good. I might have bought volumes 2 to 4 because I want to see where these weird, perverted, kinky kids end up. Plus, it's a short 6-volume series, so I don't have much to lose, I don't think. Alright, moving on, we have my next read, Savage Garden. So this is actually a manhwa, and it is set in 18th century England, where an orphan girl, Gabrielle, from a fallen noble family befriends a young man named Jeremy, who is rumored to be an illegitimate son of some nobleman. After an incident occurs, though, Gabrielle must impersonate her friend Jeremy, taking his place at the all-boys academy for nobles, a place that may look like heaven to outsiders, but in reality hides an unimaginable harshness and brutality. Speaking of dark, this one is full of the drama, angst, and a plethora of toxic, twisted characters that all try to use their elite noble status as a shield from their very apparent dark natures lurking below. And I want to just say there are some trigger warnings you should be aware of. There's death, some violence and attempted violence against people and animals alike, attempted murder, and an apparent suicide. So if any of those things bother you, maybe don't check it out. Overall though, I felt like it was a really compelling story, kind of that soap opera, K-drama-esque vibe where there's enough mystery and intrigue to keep you reading, and a cast of equally mysterious and dark characters. And while I can't say I actually liked any of the characters, I mean, even our main character is kind of a bit self-righteous and annoying at times. For me, it's like the ambiance of this English all-boys school and the private lives of those who attend that kept me engrossed. And it almost felt kind of nostalgic or familiar as I was reading it. Like, I don't know if I actually did read it a long time ago online, or if it just reminds me of something else I've read. The closest I could think was The Heart of Thomas, which is by Mondo Hagio, and it takes place in a similar time period, in a similar setting with tons of drama, and it definitely could have been an inspiration for this title. Either way, I am invested and excited to grab volume 2 of this dramatic story full of beautiful boys and one girl in disguise. And last up of the physical volumes is formerly The Fallen Daughter of the Duke. So I originally read this on Hoopla on my Kindle, but since then I went to the manga store and it was in the 50% off used books clearance section. So I was like, yeah, I liked it enough to want it in print, so I grabbed it. And yeah, this is a story about Claire Martino, who had everything: a loving family, a crown prince fiance, and a hopeful future using her family's inherited magic. Then in an instant, it was all taken away from her by none other than her own beloved half-sister. As the now disgraced Duke's daughter and scorned as a villainess, Claire leaves everything she knows and sets out on a journey to find her true self and where she belongs. I have read up until volume 4, so I've read much further than the first volume, but I still wanted to talk about it because I thought it was a really nice read. And the first 3 volumes felt rather, I guess, by the book, plot-wise, kind of predictable, I guess you would say. But there is a different turn of events in volume 4, and all I'll say about that is time shenanigans. And I was super on board for that. So I'm very excited for volume 5, and even like more so than if the story had just gone the traditional route, which I was enjoying. But when you put time shenanigans in a story, I'm like invested. And yeah, it's still altogether a rather simple story, but it's cute and full of hope and themes of like perseverance and love throughout, both romantic and platonic love. And of course, magic is a big element in this series, which I like me my fantasy, what can I say? Which all led me to having a really enjoyable time reading this. Yeah, I mean, obviously I gravitated towards it because it was a villainous story where the plot is from an otome game and we're not quite sure if she's been reincarnated, but she does keep switching back and forth between the world in which this is an otome game and this world in which she lives. You know, that's what sucked me in, but a really soft wholesome vibes story about a second chance at life and finding yourself and your place in the world. And yeah, I really enjoyed this one. So now we're moving on to my other Kindle reads that I read on the Hoopla app, which, if you didn't know, is a free app that you can use your library card with, and you get a bunch of different digital books, audiobooks, movies, music, and in the case of me anyway, I got manga. So it wasn't always on there, and now recently it's been added. And apparently, after talking to someone else online, it's not added for every library, so it definitely depends on where you are, but it's free, so it's worth checking out if you have the desire or the means to, or what have you. So yeah, these are the ones I read on my Kindle. And first up we have Centaurs. This is a fantasy adventure story set in an alternative medieval Japan where humans used to coexist with mythical creatures known as centaurs, and they were long revered as deities. However, recently the humans have started to enslave and use their strengths for their own military pursuits. This has caused the centaurs to retreat and live deep within the mountains in relative isolation in order to remain free. And this is where our main character, the centaur Matsukaze, lived until he was caught while protecting his son from humans. Taken prisoner by them, he meets another centaur named Kohibari, whose arms were amputated, and he is considered to be tamed by the humans. However, he actually has a strong desire to be free, but he must work together with Matsukaze in order to escape. The world building in this one is very unique. I mean, a manga about centaurs, it's in itself interesting, and it also has a lot of depth, as you could probably tell by the synopsis. It's got a good plot to engage you with, and yeah, it made me excited to read more about this world and its characters, and hope that these centaurs can get the upper hand against these evil asshole humans. The humans always suck so bad. They always suck. But yeah, I think my only kind of gripe or complaint is I didn't fall in love with any of our main characters yet. And so I'm hoping things settle in more as they go and I really start loving and connecting to the characters. But yeah, I mean, the story itself is enough to keep me captivated and intrigued to read more. So I definitely will be doing that. I'm hoping another volume will soon be uploaded to Hoopla, but if not, I'll probably pick up the physical releases as well eventually. Yeah. Next up, we have Yuri Espoir. I know I'm saying it wrong. I don't know how to say it. But yeah, this is a title I also read 3 volumes of because it had 3 volumes on Hoopla. And a 4th volume is out or is coming out. I don't know. But yeah, it's got up to 4 volumes right now. And this story begins with our main character Kokoro being told she has to marry a man, a complete stranger to her, as soon as she graduates high school. It's a lot. And to her, this is basically a death sentence. And she views this last year of high school as her final year of freedom. And she decides to indulge in her love of other women and create the ultimate sketchbook of lesbian romance. This story is so equally parts cute and funny and quirky romance, and dark and sad because of this looming marriage that Kokoro feels she has no escape from. And so yeah, it's really good. It balances them really well, actually. I love the cuter, softer moments and then the heavier moments that are sprinkled in. And as we go on, like I said, I've read 3 volumes now, so as we go on, we learn a little bit more about this mysterious fiance, and he intrigues me as well, so yeah. Anyway, going back to the story, and as Kokoro observes the young women in her town, she draws them and she daydreams about their possible romantic lives, while we as a reader, we seemingly get to see real snippets of their lives, like their actual lives, not the daydreams of Kokoro, which are sometimes very far from what Kokoro's dreaming up in her head, and at other times are pretty close to the true secret feelings that they have. She also ropes in her friend and fellow art club member, Amami, who seems to harbor some secret feelings of her own. And yeah, like I was saying, I genuinely liked each volume more and more as it goes, and I really felt for Kokoro, who's trapped and repulsed by her impending marriage, and equally intrigued by her mysterious fiance, her art club advisor, and her friend Amami, who all become kind of intertwined in multiple ways and all seem to want different things, but they all kind of have to do with Kokoro at the center. And so yeah, it's really, I don't know, it's very interesting. I like the cute, fluffier, wholesome Yuri moments we get from not only the young women that they are observing, but from Kokoro and Amami themselves. They're quite cute. They have a really sweet relationship and obviously care about each other a lot. And yeah, I'm definitely gonna buy this one in print, I think. I'm excited to read volume 4. I don't know if I'll just hopefully wait until volume 4 is on Hoopla or start collecting them. It'll depend. But regardless, I think I really like this one and would want to have it in print as well. Basically, like I said, all of these reads were really good and I want to continue all of them. I mean, will they stay as good? Only time will tell. But yeah, that leaves us with our very last first volume read of 2024 so far, and that is The Prince is in the Villainess Way. So I was really excited to see this one on Hoopla because it is a pre-order currently for Tokyo Pop, and it is releasing next month in February. And I was already eyeballing it because the cover, and I will say throughout, the art is very nice to look at. But yeah, the cover drew me in. It says villainous, and you know what that means for me. An instant intrigue. So yeah, between those two things, I was already really looking to buy this one, but it was nice to be able to read it first, and in doing so, definitely decided I want to pick this one up. So the story is about Iris, the wise princess who never smiles. And when she suddenly remembers her previous life as Fiona, the warrior princess from the neighboring kingdom, and she remembers the tragic events that happened in her previous life. However, in this current lifetime, these events have not happened to Fiona yet, and desperate to prevent them, she secretly becomes Fiona's educator, just to stay close to her, and as well as keeping a close eye on Prince Elvin, who she suspects had something to do with the tragedies that befell her in her past life. However, he seems very sweet to Fiona and genuinely a caring prince. So can Iris figure out the truth in time to save Fiona from her fate? This one, like I said, lovely art, and Iris is very similar protagonist vibes to the protagonist Mogami from She's My Knight, in the fact that she's very cool and elegant and rather gallant and princely. And yeah, she sways the people around her with her poise and her determination, and she just seems like a very put together female protagonist and very likable overall. And I also love the interactions between her and Prince Elvin so far. They've got some cute little simmering banter a bit, and especially because she has memories of him from her past life, but she's also suspicious of him. So like, you know, and he also is intrigued by her, but also suspicious of her. So it's like, oh, it's not quite enemies to lovers, you know, but it's like, you get the vibe of these kids are gonna get closer. Yeah. We know what's gonna happen. But it's lovely to see it unfold in front of us. And yeah, I still don't feel like this title fits this first volume, at least, at all. I usually don't get hung up on titles, but like, there's been no indication that Iris is a villainess in any way, or is even perceived as a villainess. And though this was a big reason I was eager to read this first volume, and perhaps it's suggesting something about Iris's role in her past life when Iris was Fiona and not Iris. Time shenanigans, you've done it again, confusing me. Time shenanigans are at it again. But yeah, regardless, it just kind of irks me, because it's like, either you're kind of giving something away if that's what you are implying, that Iris was a villainess. Maybe she was responsible in the original timeline for things that happened to her in that timeline. I love explaining time twisty things. So good. Or else it's just kind of a convoluted title. Either way, I don't like it. That's my only gripe with this one. I don't like it. Still, it cannot take away from the story within. And that was really lovely so far. And I'm very excited for volume 1 to be released in print. I will snatch it up. So yeah, those were my first volume reads of the month of January so far, and of 2024 so far. And like I said, it was a great batch for all of these titles I either want to read on or already have read on and still am enjoying it. So I'd say it was a pretty good group of first volumes, and I was really happy with them. So yeah, comment below if you've read any of these, how you felt about them, whether it was positive or negative, and what your favorite first volume reads were this month or this year so far. I always like to hear what other people are reading, what other series they might have picked up. I was like this close to picking up Marriage Toxin, and I didn't. And if you've read it, let me know what you thought of it. And yeah, if you enjoyed this video, please do hit the thumbs up button. I really love making first volume reviews, and I hope you love hearing about these first volumes. And if you haven't yet, I would love it if you would subscribe to the channel. Our goal is to hit 1,000 this year, and obviously I can't do it without all of your help and support. And yeah, so it would be awesome if you could do that. And that's about it. So until next time, bye!